The gigantic news of this afternoon: Dallas Cowboys move four-time Pro Bowl edge sensation Micah Parsons to Green Bay. In exchange, the Cowboys receive defensive tackle, and he's a good one, Kenny Clark, and not one but two first-round picks in 26 and 27. The significant math: Parsons agrees to a four-year extension, $188 million with the Packers, which includes $136 million in total guarantees, making him the highest-paid non-quarterback in the history of the National Football League. He released a statement which read in part, "I never wanted this chapter to end, but not everything was in my control. My heart's always been here, and it still is. Through it all, I never made any demands. I never asked for anything more than fairness. I only asked that the person I trust to negotiate my contract be part of the process." He's speaking there, of course, about his agent. Jerry Jones responded tonight.
This was by design. I did make Micah an offer. It wasn't acceptable, and I honored the fact that it wasn't done in the way that he wanted to do it, through an agent. So he was made an offer. There's not an ounce of vindictiveness. There's no bad feelings on my part about the fact that we didn't come together on an agreement. This trade was not just thought about today. This trade has been going on in our minds and our strategies and being talked about. It's been going on all spring. It culminated today, and it came quick, but that's the way things go. I want to be sure that our fans understand. I think a lot of Micah, and I wish him so much success. I don't want him to have success when they play the Cowboys as much as I do want him to have overall success. But Micah Parsons did an outstanding job for us for 4 years, and a little bit of the way Herschel Walker may have had his greatest contribution to the Cowboys. What he brought to us when he left could be a tremendous thing for our fans and the success of this team. In our judgment, this gives us a better chance to be a better team than we have been the last several years since Micah's been here. Not any negative on Micah, but we're trying to get better. We're trying to stop the run and stay in the hunt.
In terms of things that were said in the media about the agent, any things like that, is there any things that you would do differently if you were to go back?
Oh, no. No, not at all. And nothing at all in terms of regret. You mentioned, you're asking if I regret. No, I don't regret that at all. I'm very, very excited about the prospects of what we've done for the Cowboys here. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. I had total control over being able to have it the other way. So I'm excited. We got what we wanted. Make no mistake about it. We all know we could have signed Micah, but we decided to go with the trade.
Always business, never personal. Adam Schefter joins us now. And Adam, in Dallas, between Micah and Jerry, you laid it out for us for the last month. It got personal. How did this thing get so sideways to the point that Micah Parsons is now a Green Bay Packer?
I think it goes back to the failed agreement that Jerry Jones thought he had with Micah Parsons in late March, when he felt that he had a deal that would pay Micah Parsons on average $40.5 million a year. And after the two sides went their own ways and Micah Parsons brought his agent in, from that moment on, Scott, the two sides never exchanged another offer. And there were people who were saying to me that Jerry Jones is upset enough, we heard him talk publicly, that this had become his Waterloo. He was determined to make sure it turned out how he wanted. And I think as they looked at it, they felt like they could use Micah almost as a chip to address some of the needs that this team had. And Jerry Jones feels like he has a 2025 version of a Herschel Walker trade to try to help turn around the Cowboys.
you talk to everyone around the league, Adam. For a player as impactful as Parsons is, like top 3 in the Defensive Player of the Year voting, like I believe 3 times, did Dallas get enough?
One NFL executive called me right after and said, we would have offered more. Well, it's a little bit like Luka Doncic when he gets traded from Dallas to the Lakers. All of a sudden, we heard from other teams, we would have beat that offer. And oh, by the way, when Jerry Jones did make the agreement that he had back in the day to buy the Dallas Cowboys, Scott, he shook hands on a deal and paid $150 million for the Dallas Cowboys. Today, Micah Parsons got $188 million from the Green Bay Packers, $38 more million than Jerry Jones paid for the Dallas Cowboys back in the day.
Yeah, speaking of American businessmen, Mr. Jones's investment is worth what? What the most recent $13 billion and change? So
$12.6 billion.
Yeah. He's doing fine on that front, but I mean, look, look, they still remain. I've been here 25 years. They played in 0 NFC Championship games. Okay, so cool. We talk about them a lot. At some point, it has to translate. I wonder when it ever will. I've been here a while. I'm still waiting. What's your sense of what Dallas does in the short term here?
Well, listen, they could have shot Micah before the draft and maybe gotten more assets in return. They believe that this is a trade that will help this organization in the short and long term. And the results, we will see how they unfold this season. I think of this. There have been 2 players in NFL history who have had over 12 sacks in each of their first 4 seasons. One was Reggie White.
Yeah.
The other was Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons now plays for Reggie White's Packers.
Right, I connected the same dots. I mean, an NFC East team. He was a free agent, though. That was a little different, but I mean, we know the impact that White had. I'm sure that up in Green Bay, the thought is that he can have that sort of impact among the conversations you're having. Are eyebrows raised? Like, is it that kind of a seismic landing for this Packer defense?
Well, there was one member of the Packers organization that I've been in touch with the last couple of days, and when I said to him a couple of days ago, I think Green Bay may be getting Micah Parsons, he texted me back. He's like, I couldn't sleep. It was all I could think about the last 2 days. And I can tell you that the people in Green Bay are ecstatic. This is the single richest deal they've given out to a player that wasn't a quarterback. It's a monster deal. The Green Bay Packers play next week against the Detroit Lions. Of course, he'll have to get past that back tightness, Scott, but $188 million usually helps backs feel a little bit better.
The amazing elixir. You sleep on a bed of money. You wake up and that back feels pretty good. I wouldn't know. You would. You can tell me about it. Adam, fantastic as always with the information. Appreciate you making time. Be well, all right?
Anytime, Scott. Nice to be with you.
Trade has its impact in terms of the odds. The Packers shrink from 20-1 to 14-1. Those are the 6th shortest odds on the board for Dallas. It moves them from 50-1, pretty long shot to begin with, to 60-1, same number as Atlanta and Seattle. Cowboys, the only NFC team who has not made a conference championship game since 1996 in the NFC.
One big thing.
Tuesday night from the U.S. Open, on our first show in what felt like forever, I explained that I always work off the presumption that things get sorted out between teams and star players because they always do. I did say that this one felt different because Micah and Jerry had gotten sideways, but my closing thought was, of course he will be playing for Dallas a week from tonight in Philadelphia, because of course. Instead, he will take on the Cowboys September 28th as a Green Bay Packer. Once again, they look to the NFC East for a trajectory-altering defender. In '93, they signed Reggie White away from Philadelphia as a free agent. Now they trade for a 26-year-old who is potentially a defensive player of the year. And the lens that we in media tend to look at this through is Cowboy Blue. They are popular, they are valuable. But as I mentioned to Adam Schefter, they have played in 0 NFC Championship games since I have worked here. I started here in 2001. They were not a playoff team last year. Green Bay was. Dallas was a playoff team 2 years ago. They got smoked at home by the Packers. The point being, the Packers are the lens to view this trade through because they just add a player who potentially gets them over the hump. They're the team who is closer to on-field relevance. Dallas is always going to be popular and valuable, and perhaps time will tell us that they did the wise thing today in moving on from one transcendent player to find potentially multiple difference makers. But until we know for certain, I just feel bad for Dallas sports fans who are still trying to process one 26-year-old generational talent who was sent to Los Angeles, and now it has happened again. Not many cities are blessed with a duo in their prime simultaneously, and now they have neither. If nothing else, the Cowboys do retain their status as the unrivaled, undisputed champion of the world in terms of generating content. Micah Parsons called it the honor of a lifetime to wear the star on his helmet. We're joined now by a man that did it with distinction as well, my guy Marcus Spears. And Swag, we were in New York City not long ago talking off air just about Cowboy culture, about the locker room you walked into as a young man out of LSU and how you benefited from some of the old heads that were there and what's different now, this and that. Anyway, I just give folks at home that backstory as a way of saying that this felt like it was off, but I just always think stuff's going to get figured out. This didn't. This didn't. How do you react to this news that he's not going to be a Cowboy any longer?
Well, SV, the first emotional roller coaster, that hits first. And you're like, what the hell are we doing as a franchise? And I think of the Dallas Cowboys as my team. Obviously, not only did I play for them, but I'm a fan. And to your point, you get lost in the conversation. Well, this is what Jerry does. This is entertainment. The contract will eventually come, and it'll be a day or two before the season starts, and Micah Parsons will be the highest paid defensive player in the league, and he'll play for the Dallas Cowboys. But as you talked about us in that green room last Friday, it felt off, man. It felt weird. It felt too personal for it to just get fixed with money. And you could see Micah, like, if you paid attention throughout practice, if you looked at the clips when they were at camp, if you looked at some games, he was totally dejected about being a Dallas Cowboy. And I think that ultimately was why this trade happened, to be honest with you, Scott, because in no way do you trade a 26-year-old in his prime, potential Hall of Famer, program-changing defensive end in 2025 in today's age of the NFL with what you have to do to affect quarterbacks.
Jerry's done a million different things that have benefited the value of the franchise. We all understand that. I've been talking throughout this entire program. They're going to be popular and valuable always. But in terms of the impact, positive or negative, how seismic does this particular decision land with you in terms of, man, because listen, those draft picks could work out. We don't know that, but this one, how does it land with you as a guy that wore the star and a guy that pulls for this franchise?
Scott, is awful. Initially you have this visceral reaction because these are the guys you covet in the NFL, and you think to yourself, there is no way possible that Micah Parsons won't be a Cowboy. I think people want to look at this as one isolated situation. My frustration lies with the things that potentially led up to this. How much effect did that have on you not really being able to sign him and come to a conclusion where today he ends up as a Green Bay Packer and the highest paid defensive player in the history of the league with the most guaranteed money? It's not isolated, Scott.
Of course it's not, Swag. Look, 2 years ago, we sat in Tampa Bay before our playoff game, and I said, I've been here 20-some-odd years, and we've been doing some version of the same damn story for 20-some-odd years. And you know where I'm from, and you know where I live, and you know where we do this show. You know when things changed for the team that I root for here in Washington? When they got a new owner. That's when it changed. And it didn't change until then.
Yes,
and we all look, Jerry Jones owns his team. He can do whatever the hell he wants with it. But my point is, this is just the next chapter in some version of the same story we've read for 25 years, is it not?
If you can express that frustration, think about how myself and Dallas Cowboy fans feel. We've been watching this movie for a long time. Now, Scott.
I'm not frustrated.
But listen, Scott, you're frustrated because you don't do business like this. Not in today's NFL. Forget about the team that you root for. If you're on the outside looking in and watching a team operate like the Dallas Cowboys have, and you know what it takes to try to win a Super Bowl in this league, are you sitting outside saying, boy, I wonder what the hell they thinking over there? Because that in no way reminds me of what teams are doing to win championships. They lock up their young players. They lock up the guys that they draft that become uber superstars. We're talking about Micah Parsons like Micah Parsons is just a good defensive player. Bro, this dude is one of 2 people to have 12 sacks in his first years in the NFL. You know what the other guy was?